Welcome to Breaking the Chain. I'm Jacob.
I'm Cody.
And today we've got a lot of nationals to go over. Nationals. Then we have a ban and restricted announcement, or ban and restricted announcement. And then we have some more Usurp the Shadow Throne stuff. And maybe some more at the end. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see if we fill the time enough without needing another topic.
Right. But first
So,
off, how was your week in Flesh and Blood?
well, it was a bit different this week actually. I went to an armory. Um, I would say it was the first time in a long time, but I actually did. I remembered I went to a draft armory before nationals that I was able to make it out to last minute. So technically, I made an armory before this, somewhat recently, but I actually went to the Tuesday armory, which I hadn't been to in at least 6 months. I haven't been able to go.
I think it's
Um,
probably been longer than that.
yeah, and it looks like I'm gonna be able to play every week, which I'm super excited for. Um, Excited to get back into the weekly armory schedule. I used to play every Tuesday for like 2 years straight, and
Hmm.
then yeah, I just
That's how
my
we
life
got to
schedule
know each
changed.
other.
Yeah, exactly. That's literally how we yeah we would play the same armory every week. That's how I started the game. I went to that armory just expecting to watch, and then you lent me a Bolton deck, and I was hooked from there. But yeah, I went to an armory this week. It was Silver Age, which was a lot of fun. I didn't have enough time, unfortunately, after like between work and the armory to build a different deck. I wanted to put together Chain, even pre BnR update, um, just to have something fun to play. But I didn't have time, so I ended up bringing the Enigma deck that I brought with me to nationals with the intention of playing the showdown. But I ended up only playing a side event instead. But went 2-1. I paired into a Phi round one. Did not go particularly well, as that matchup kind of goes.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
tough.
yeah, and then I played against Eliath round two that looked way stronger than I expected. Like I do think that it is good for them. Like it's a good matchup for them because of the way that they can damage stack, and punish my lack of offensive pressure. But yeah, it was really it was really strong. I almost lost that game, and they were just using
That's
the
cool.
armory or not armory deck, the Silver Age chapter deck for Lyeth. They didn't do any modifications to
Oh
it.
wow.
Yeah, or maybe they might have updated it with the pack that comes with it, but outside of anything in the pack, they didn't update it. So that was a fun game, but I took it down barely. And then round three, I played against a Florian, and it just wasn't even close. Poor guy didn't stand a chance. But yeah, that was my week in Flesh and Blood. I've been also doing some Dio testing. I was considering if I felt confident enough on Dio, potentially getting the last minute ticket to play the calling in Vegas. But it's not looking it's not looking quite feasible for me to go. So um I am just gonna have it as a prepared scrim deck instead. But I've been playing some Dio. I've been trying some really, really funky things. Some really off the wall things. Like I tried Cog Dio. I tried Nomax
Okay.
V Dio. I even tried what's it called? Nitro Mechanoid Dio, Hyperdriver Dio.
What? What?
Yeah. I was curious. Well, I was curious if there was a possible switchboard game plan into Jarl. It did not work out. Um, but yeah, so I was curious, and so I tried it out just for fun, mostly just to see how it would work. Um, but yeah, I love Dio. I was missing it. Playing those games brought me back. I do need to test the new. Well, we'll get into it later. Actually, we'll get into it later. But anyway, how about your week in Flesh and Blood?
So I've done a lot in Flesh and Blood actually. I went to the same armory, played Benji. It was not as prosperous. I would get home, take what I have of the Ira deck, take that apart, throw it into Benji, add a couple extra Crouching Tiger cards, and roll with it. Um, I went 0 and 3. but in heart, I went 3-0.
Exactly.
Such a fun Benji deck, and it's Crazy Brew, Life of the Party. I don't know. I love that card in Sage. I think it's so silly, and then
It's
like
so
that's why I
fun.
like playing the ninjas. I'm like, if I'm not doing fun things, I don't know how I would like. I'd rather play fun in Sage than competitive because I could just do Valda, but
Right.
like I have more fun doing the silly things. I don't know what it is, but I did that, and then I've done quite a bit of testing. Like I've been jumping on a lot, trying to scrim some games and getting in with a group, talk about all that fun stuff. So it's been good. Like I've learned a lot. I think there's a lot of improvement, especially in my deck building, but that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It means
Do
I
you
can win on a bad deck.
we should this should be a topic, I guess. But do you want to talk about it now or later of maybe what you're thinking about when it comes to your pick for CC deck in the Pro Tour?
Um, I think we can talk about it later, just because, like, I
We'll
mean,
talk about it at the
I
BnR, I
I think
guess. That
I'm
makes sense.
mostly locked in, and I don't think anyone's gonna be surprised.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Everyone knows you're gonna run Aurora, so
Yep, yep, the classic Jacob pick, but I want to do
how,
more testing because there's a lot of like theory crafting that I have in the deck right now, like a lot of random cards just to see how they feel. And we'll get a little bit more into that later, but
yeah, I'm curious to hear about how that's been going. Anything else in this week in Flesh and Blood? Have you done any more draft testing?
I not. I still have only done the well, maybe since last week I've done another one, but it's been a while since I've actually done. Yeah. Since last week I have done some, but not in the last few days.
We'll fix that for you.
We should.
Anything else before we move on to some of the national championships results? I guess feels like they're not the right word for it, but um,
No, I think we can just jump right into it.
we do have the week 2 national championship breakdown, which because I don't think we had this before,
No.
right? Yeah.
Because we
Um,
Saturday when most of them were going off. And then we're a day late now, so we're getting a lot of week 3 on top of week 2.
yeah, yeah. So this is gonna be this is an interesting meld of nationals results. But yeah, so for week 2, we had 2 Prism wins for 45 points. And if you know what Prism was at before, you would know that that is exactly enough to LL her. So Prism is LL, Prism is gone. Um, and then Ziggy won two events for 8 points. Acilio won 2 events for 50 points. Jarl won 2 events for 20 points. Gravy won an event for 25. Puffin won an event for 10. Kasai won an event for 38 points. Vincent won an event for 8 points. And Dio won an event for 38 points. So, kind of a large spread of wins. Now, do you notice anything interesting about this week 2 breakdown?
Well, the interesting thing was Jarl, or not Jarl. Sorry, Victor got 0 points.
Yes, that's what it was. Victor did not win a single national championship during week 2, which was very surprising. We were all expecting Victor to LL
Yeah.
immediately on that week 2 because there were a good number of points that were available. Um, but instead, Prism took it down, which I did not predict. If you remember from last week, I was like, "Oh, Victor's gonna LL and Prism's not gonna LL." I was wrong. It was the opposite. Prism LL'd and Victor did not LL.
I think every Flesh and Blood player would have the exact same thought as you of, nope, Victor's gone. Prism will stay around until Victor leaves. And, nope, Prism found a way.
Yeah, Prism took it down in France and Iceland to get those 45 points.
I do like this
Um,
breakdown. I hope we get more of these like weekly breakdowns.
yeah,
So like
this has been
one
nice.
week 3 finishes off, if we can get like this like percentage, like the country's cool.
Yeah,
I would love to see that.
I agree. I agree. Um, anything else on week 2 before we move into some of the week 3 stuff that we have fresh off the presses?
Um, I mean, I think the most surprising one's actually Puffin to me.
Yeah, it was a smaller one because she only got 10 LL points for the win. Um,
Yeah.
but not that small because I think the smallest
It's
you can get is what, 5?
I think so.
And
So
so
it's not
it
the
was a
smallest.
yeah, it was a medium one. But I mean, the new cards in Puffin are are so good.
They are
Puffin's
very
not
good.
a weak deck anymore. Um, I think that there's some um flaws isn't the right word for it. Some deficiencies. I don't know what word I'm looking for there, but it's a very strong raw power deck.
Mhm.
A lot of good stuff
Oh,
going
and
on.
it has some crazy power plays. Like,
Yeah,
oh, here's the ship that just destroys a piece of equipment.
yeah. There's also some heroes just can't really deal with the bird efficiently. Um,
Yeah.
some heroes
I
can deal
mean,
with it
Guardian
a
is
little bit
very
too
much
well.
one of them.
Yeah,
Balda.
yeah.
The funny thing is, like, little side note, as I do, uh, like sometimes it's like correct to leave it out as Valda just because they'll let her draw, and you're like, do I want to let her draw or do I want to kill a bird?
It's funny. It was really fun as Betsy playing into Puffin because they'd play out the bird and I'd be like, nice, I get a gold. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah, with that, let's jump into the fresh week 3 nationals. So we have some that are actually still going on right now, but we also have some that have
Mhm.
already finished. So first up, we have Germany. Uh, we'll start with a meta breakdown. I don't know how many players this is. I think it's a, probably a little bit over the 100. I'm too lazy to do the count right now. But in terms of the breakdown, there were 18 Syndras, 17 Acilios, 15 Victors, 11 Reinars, 7 Dios, 7 Gravy, 7 Kasai, 6 Jarl, yada yada. And then the top 8 for Germany was 2 Acilio, 2 Victor, a Gravy, a Ziggy, an Ira, and a Jarl. With the finals, the finals being Acilio versus Victor, and Acilio won. However, uh, they won in like the on turn 3 or 4 because the victor got DQ'd.
No.
Apparently, they were pretty commonly bottoming cards that were on the comeback chain, like putting them in the pitch zone and then putting them back in the deck. And they actually did it in the final game on stream. They basically they had a blue cranial crush that they blocked with Chainlink 1, and they also Rampart blocked Chainlink 1, and the Rampart was on top of the cranial crush. They bottomed their pitch because they did pitch cards. And then they moved the cranial crush to the pitch zone and then bottomed it afterward. And then so the judges caught it, and then they had the game continue for a second. And then I guess after the game continued, there was a 35-minute judge call in the finals where basically they decided that because this wasn't the first time he had done it, they had already got him for it before, that they were just going to give a match loss in the finals to
That's
protect the
crazy.
integrity of the game.
No,
Um,
that's fair.
yeah, I guess previously it was a block card that he did the same thing with. It wasn't just a random blue; it was a block card that he put on the bottom of the deck, in a previous game. So, yeah. So, regardless, I think that the Acilio is it's not a terrible matchup for Acilio. They were on the Gone in a Flash version. So, congrats to Conrad Weiss for taking on.
I mean, I don't even want to like take away from they still made it through the entire gauntlet and into that top 8.
Yeah, no, I mean they were a strong player. Like they deserve the win. That's what I'm trying to get at. Is I think that they were going to potentially get the win
Win it
regardless.
anyways.
Um, but yeah, it always sucks to win that way. Um, But yeah, so Acilio took down Germany, and then we have Spain, which had 108 players, 10 Syndras, 9 Dios, 8 Marios, 8 Kasai, 8 Acilio, 8 Victor, 7 Fi, 7 Gravy, 6 Jarl, 5 Fang. There's just like a large breakdown here. Um, and for the top 8,
I don't think
there
there's a single repeat hero in that
yeah,
top 8.
I'm actually
Holy
just now
moly.
noticing that top 8 was a completely diverse top 8. A Jarl, a Gravy, a Victor, an Acilio, a Mario, a Puffin, a Syndra, and a Dio. The finals being Jarl versus Dio, and I have not actually seen how it ended, but I have with pretty high confidence that Jarl, which is Pablo Pintor, took it down. Um, because I watched the right before we started recording, the game was going, and I watched Dio start the turn with 4 boom grenades and not hit, and they all died. And Jarl went back to 40. So I don't think the Dio is winning that one. It's a pretty uphill battle to come back from. Uh,
Trying to see if I can get
yeah, a live
oh,
update.
a live update on it. Oh, you sent me the link. I don't know why, but I could not find it in my YouTube at all.
Huh. Yeah, sometimes it's hard to find these national live streams. I
Yep.
have to be recommended them while they're live.
Yeah, Pablo Pintor got there.
I mean, it was once I saw the 4 boom grenades die,
Yeah.
I was like,
It was
yeah, that's not good for the Dio.
that's no.
So yeah, Pablo
I
Pintor
just
takes
don't want to
down
say like I'm
Spain.
sure when I'm like not 100% sure. There's like probably a 1% way he could win in there, but
Yeah. There's a chance that you know, Pablo just kind of like
green.
keels over and has to get rushed out. But yeah. And then we have the Italy. Oh no, sorry. This is what is this metagame for? Oh, we did the top 8. I just posted things without even adding some
I don't know what that
context.
one is.
Yeah, I don't know what this one is. It might have been Croatia or something. There's a
Wait,
nationals
Victor
out.
did win Croatia.
Oh, I'm seeing now that it goes top down, left to right. I thought it was like 23 Acilio, and then the next most played was Fang at 4. I was like, that's a crazy meta spread. Oh dang, I wish I knew which nationals this was, because this nationals had 23 Acilio, and then 12 Gravy, and then 9 5 8 Victor, and so on. But it was just such a large Acilio meta share.
It is a very large Sicilian meta share.
But that one, I know that one didn't have a top 8 going yet. It was still running. And then Italy meta breakdown: 13 Syndra, 11 Acilio, 10 Gravy, 10 Victor, 9 Mario, 8 Kasai, so on and so forth. The top 8 is, it's kind of hard to see this bottom one. Okay,
Yeah,
so
since it's all like faded.
yeah. So we have 2 Gravy, 2 Vincent, 1 Acilio, 1 Arachne Marionette, 1 Arachne Huntsman, and 1 Phi. And it was still running. We didn't have the finals yet, I believe. For
Yeah, it's in the
Italy,
semifinals right now, and it's Vincent versus Gravy Bones.
which is not the best matchup for Vincent, but it's actually very winnable. So we're waiting on the finals. There, it's going to be either it could be Vincent or Gravy, and then Acilio or Huntsman. And then we have Poland. I didn't get the meta breakdown for Poland, but the top 8. To look through here, let's see. We had 3 Syndras, 1 Victor, 1 Gravy, 1 Phi, 1 Dory, and 1 Mario, with the winner being Mario. So Mario took down Poland nationals. And then we have the Malaysia metagame breakdown: 12 Syndra, 10 Kasai, 9 Acilio, 9 Jarl, 8 Ira, so on and so forth. The top 8 for Malaysia was 2 Syndra, a Victor, a Jarl, a Kasai, a Ziggy, an Ira, and a Huntsman, with Victor taking it down against Ziggy in the finals. And then we have, this is Australia: 13 Gravy, 13 Acilio, 12 Syndra, 10 Mario, 10 Phi, 9 Dio, 8 Victor, so on and so forth. The top 8 was 3 Dio in the Australian Nationals.
Crazy.
A 1 Victor, 1 Phi, 1 Mario, 1 Katsu, and 1 Syndra, with the finals being Mario versus Katsu, and I believe, oh shoot, I think it was the
It was
Katsu.
it was Katsu who
Yeah,
won.
that's right. Katsu. So yeah, Katsu took down Australian Nationals, which is sick. I think Katsu is unironically a very strong hero right now. And especially once Victor is no longer in the picture. I think Katsu is a dark horse pick for PT Vegas. But just
It
putting it out
was
there now.
such a we're gonna have to do a tier list like
Of course. We're
after
doing a tier list
national.
next week, actually. That's the
Yeah,
plan.
committed tier
Committed.
list, and then I'll show you why my pick is S tier.
Hell yeah. And that's all the stats or all the nationals reports we have for now. There are definitely some of the nationals that happened, but I'm gonna be honest, I was getting tired of looking through and grabbing all these top eights and stuff. There's some spreadsheet out there that someone made, but I couldn't find it. Um,
So, based off all of this, we now know that Victor has obtained living legend status.
yes. Victor took down a Canadian Battlegrounds. It took down Malaysia, and it took down another one. I forget which other
Yeah, I
one.
remember someone posted it somewhere
Yeah.
too.
So Victor.
Croatia,
Oh,
Latvia, Canadian Battlegrounds, Malaysia, and then I think there was one more that we named earlier that I think was later after someone said they LL'd after that.
interesting.
I might be wrong.
Um, but regardless, Victor's gone.
Victor's
Bye.
gone.
Bye, bitch. Get out of here.
I was okay if Victor somehow made it. You know, that would have been
I
fine
know
with
you
me.
were okay with it.
I
I want
mean,
him gone.
it would have been perfectly fine. Victor wouldn't have won the Pro Tour because I would be there on Valda, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
This is the one thing that like makes me debate like how good do I actually think Valda is into the rest of the metagame.
We'll see whenever we do the tier
We'll
list
figure
next
it
week.
out. Yeah, yeah.
We'll do a
There we
well
go.
actually that's all right. We were gonna talk about it now. Actually no, we're gonna talk about it after the BnR. Because
Yes.
we haven't covered that yet. But anything on these national championships before we move on to the BnR?
It's still pretty widespread. Like I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think that it's fun to see some of like the like how each nation like selects differently with their decks. Like, oh, Australia actually has a pretty flat deck selection. Like the top deck, there's a tie for top and it's 13 for both Gravy and Acilio. But then we go and look at like the metagame in Malaysia and Gravy's half of what Syndra is. And Syndra wasn't even let me go back to it's like okay, she was top three, and but it's like the spread is so interesting to look at.
Yeah.
Syndra's the top in a lot of these meta games, but then you look at I can't remember what this might be Italy, but like there's one nationals where Acilio at 23, and then the next is Gravy at 12, and it just sharply drops off. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy to see some of these spreads. Then
Oh,
you've
you know
got
what?
Dash IO in
I think it's
Spain.
Canada. That's right. That's right. That's Canada is what that one is.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
You
Canada
got
had
Dash
23
IO and
Cilio, 12
Syndra
Gravia. Yeah.
in Spain. You got Mario, and like the spread in Spain is pretty flat too. 10, 9, 8, 8, 8, 8, 7, 7, 6, and then the spattering a few heroes underneath. But I'm surprised to see Syndra show up so much. And I mean, you look at the national championships for Germany, and there's a lot of Reinar there. Like there is not this much Reinar anywhere else. I don't even think even comparable. 4 in Spain. 1 oh, in
There were 7
Canada.
in Australia.
There were 6 in Italy too.
He he's there. Reinhardt is there.
He is there, but
Um
it's like it's just cool to see how these different nations like choose different heroes.
what was I gonna say? I think that the clear uh sort of like not winner is not the right way to put it, but the clear standout is
Like the clear
Acilio.
favorite among players.
Yeah, I think Acilio has clearly jumped up as one of the top represented decks, or at least the highest momentum in terms of becoming the top represented deck. Um, and we're seeing a lot of these meta game breakdowns have Acilio in the top 3, if not the top hero. Some of them by a large margin, like we mentioned with Canada.
But
Um,
I think also you still have Syndra. Like I think Syndra's showing up by
yes,
force again. Like she's the top in most of these, except for that one where it was all Acilio. It's like I think Syndra, Acilio, you see a little bit of Gravy
yeah. I mean,
Bones. Like
we do see it be affected by the kind of the breakdowns. Like for example, in Australia, we have a lot of DOs, right? Actually, we
yeah.
didn't have a lot of DOs. My bad. We just had a lot of duos make top 8. Um,
Okay, so you say there's not a lot of DOs, but it's so flat in Australia that like
yes.
the top deck's 13, DO's at 9. It's actually not that far off.
It
It
really isn't
just
that far
looks like it's so far down the list because there's
off.
like a bunch of other decks that have like 10. So
Right. But I guess what I'm trying to get at is, like, I think that the higher Dio play rate there is, the less Syndra play rate, and I think that's because there's probably a bit of a shared player base among those 2 decks because 'cause they're both aggro decks. Um, so I think that it kinda just like, I'm just everywhere I look, if I see Syndra near the top, I see Dio. It's like the spread gets larger between the play rate on them, or it's like it snaps together. Like, it's either if Syndra's at the top, Dio's somewhere near the bottom, but if Syndra if they're sometimes they're both in the middle in terms of play rate. Um,
the other thing is Fi still has a relative play rate in a lot of these areas.
yes, Fi also got pretty popular after US Nationals despite not being a good deck. I think
I
people
think it's
are
specifically better into Guardian than Syndra is.
sure.
And I want to add, when everyone thinks that Victor is the best deck in room, I think that's a reasonable pick.
Okay, but at the same time, how many of these top 8s have a Fi in them?
So maybe not for this weekend, but I think the thought process on that pick made sense. But then when you pick Syndra and face every other hero other than Guardian, you'd rather be Syndra.
I'm just gonna put it out there. I think that it was a fluke that the U.S. Nationals had so many
Too.
Fis, so much of such a large Fi conversion to top 8, um, and I don't think that Fi is actually a real deck right now. I mean, we can see like, uh, it just I don't know. It just doesn't do it. That's all I'm saying. That's
Doesn't
all I'm
have
gonna put
it.
out there. Just doesn't have the goods. I think that not to like discredit the 5 players from US Nationals, but there were some interesting runs to get to top 8. This is what I'll say. Um, I think that Syndra is just often the better pick. Like you mentioned, maybe a slightly better pick into Guardian, but that's going away. And we can see that the Victor play rate tanked for these nationals despite still being
Yeah.
at full power. Um, Victor was hardly even close to the top 3 in most of them. Um, and so the play rate for Victor just wasn't really there to justify the 5 play rate.
And then I mean, Jarl's coming up, and if you're like trying to pick 5 to fit Jarl, there's no point. Like you might as well just be Syndra and be better in the rest of the field.
Yeah, I agree. However, I do think Jarl's play rate is going to go up a ton for
I do
Vegas.
too.
Uh, a ton, which is concerning for Dio. Well, okay, it's double edged, right? Because I'm not playing in the event, so I'm happy that Jarl's play rate is up because that means that Dio has a less chance of winning, which means less all points for her because I want her to stick around. But if I were to go, I would. I think that's actually part of the reason why I decided that I wasn't confident in like booking a last minute ticket to play the calling was because I think the Jarl was going to be a pretty high PR deck, and that matchup's pretty miserable. Like almost the entire sideboard of my deck right now is for the Jarl matchup alone, and it still doesn't make it favorable. It's that rough.
Yeah.
Um,
Welcome to Guardian into Gravy.
yeah. Well, okay, you have some decent tools. Also, I like your Volta game plan into Gravy.
Okay, yeah, I think Valda's okay,
Yeah. Volta
but
specifically it has a better chance, that's for sure. Um, I think that Betsy might actually be in a similar boat. I think you can build Betsy to be
I actually
decent
think
in the Guardian.
so. I said that, but I actually think that like Guardian's okay into Gravy if you can play it correctly.
Yeah. But yeah, anything else on nationals before we move on to the BnR?
No, I'm ready to jump into the BnR.
All right. Would
Get
you like
that sauce.
would you like to kick it off?
Sure. So first we have the ban of the BnR, and that's Remembrance.
Remembrance is gone. That's something I didn't think it was going to happen actually.
I don't think anyone expected it. I think everyone thought that Flesh and Blood was standing on the ground. They're like, Remembrance is a part of the game. Remembrance is here to stay. And especially after they reprinted it in Compendium, I think a lot of people were like, well, we're stuck with Remembrance now. And I was saying it last week. I'm like, if they wanted to get rid of Remembrance, this would be the opportunity for them to get rid of Remembrance. Because I'm like, I think that Remembrance, like the problems that people had with it were really shown with Victor in this meta. And then
Yeah.
I'm sure Jarl runs into a similar problem where they're remembrancing back their felling of the crowns and their Olds. I know they do that, but it's like I'm sure that also felt pretty crazy about it. But I do really like this article and how they go into the ban on remembrance. So if you haven't read it, I do think it's a good read. It's
Looking over it
much
right now,
more.
actually,
Do what?
because I hadn't actually read it yet, so I was actually doing a quick look. I wanted to see the remembrance discussion that they put in there, which is near the end of the CC BnR portion.
Yeah. But no, it's like I think overall I like how this has been formatted and talked about, and there's a lot of things that this ban and restricted announcement is what I expect and think is more what we're gonna get with a ban and restricted announcement.
Yeah, I I will say after reading the portion on remembrance, I don't really feel satisfied by their reasoning for it.
We'll see. I think, and it doesn't look like they're convinced on it being gone. I kind of expect it to come back here in a minute. But I think that it's there's been some problems with remembrance and how it resolves. We're not actually completely sure that banning it's going to be a good option for the game, but we're willing to explore this option to see how the meta evolves. And I think they also want to not that the meta's been super stale. We've had different top decks, but the meta has not changed a lot over the last year. So I think they're doing this, and I think they've gotten some valid criticism, and I think that they think it's also the meta hasn't changed a lot, and there's not a lot that they've done to help move the needle in a lot of ways. So I think this is them also going hey, we haven't moved the needle. We've gotten some valid criticism on that. We're gonna try and shake it up a little bit. We're banning Remembrance. We don't know how it will do, but it's definitely gonna affect the game. And then we're gonna get into the other cards here in a second.
But before we do that, yeah, for remembrance, and they do mention it here, is that basically they say that there's been much discussion over whether this card supports fatigue decks or those trying to beat them, which is very true, and that's something we brought up
Yeah.
I think last week, which was that there are some fatigue decks that use it in order to enhance their fatigue game plan, and there's also decks that use it in order to enhance their matchup into fatigue. Um, but I do think that the main problem with Remembrance was that some fatigue decks could use it a little bit too egregiously on specific cards. Um, I do feel like Remembrance wasn't necessarily a problem in any of the fatigue decks outside of Victor and
Hmm.
maybe Jarl. Jarl being able to
Even then,
shuffle in,
I didn't
yeah,
think Yarl was crazy about it.
exactly, yeah.
Sure, he got some ways to finish the game a lot of times, but it was Victor was where you'd see the absurd turn of let me get this so I can deal 40 damage through my hammer because I'm just gonna create 1,000 gold because I'm gonna remembrance these back in.
Right, right. But like, that's what I'm trying to get at is like there was definitely an argument before about remembrance being a a negative for the game in terms of enhancing the fatigue decks, but I don't feel like that was necessarily the case right now, especially once Victor is gone. I think that's I'm struggling to see what deck um is truly um what's one way to put this? Like more miserable to play into because they have remembrance. Like the only one I can think of is like maybe Huntsman, but even then, I don't think
Yeah.
that it was the biggest deal that they lost it. Um, I think it's I don't think it actually changes that much about how the deck plays, except into other fatigue decks, um, or defensive decks, I should say. I don't know. I'm on the fence because I do feel like there are some decks that really wanted it in terms of enhancing their game plan, and it wasn't necessarily an auto include in a lot of decks either. Um, it was a nice tool to have for the aggro decks. That's where I want to leave it. I don't know if I like it. I like the ban because of it. I think it was mostly
I
a victor reasoning for why it was egregious.
No, and I think that's fair, but I think it's I don't know. At the same point, like a lot of the times, and I heard this from I think it was like Arsenal Pass. Like it felt like Remembrance was like an arms race sometimes, where it's just
Yes.
like who had more remembrances won that. And then it's like something that I always like about fatigue is like the micro game plans, and something that I do a lot with like Falda. It's like with like a more fatigue or like late game kind of thing. I have to turn around and I have to like specifically with the heave two cards, I run those. Like I put a heave two card, heave two, throw like 8 dominate off a card that doesn't generate seismic surge, and then I'll tectonic instability to put that heave two back on the bottom, dominate again, and then late game that heave two one more time to throw it for another dominate. It's a
Yeah.
generator at that point, and so being able to cycle it helps me in the fatigue matchup because that card really generated 9 seismic surge just from me heaving it, I generated like 9 seismic surge off of it. So that's like the micro game plans and those kind of game plans. But sometimes when Remembrance was in the game, it's like, well, I don't need to like think about how I sync this card to get the value to throw the damage. I don't need to think about that because like I'll just throw it and then I'll just Remembrance back and then I'll just throw it. Like I'll heave it and throw it itself. So that's where I'm like, I think this helps shift the meta towards more micro game plans, which I like. But the scary thought is there's going to be some aggressive decks I don't think can compete against those aggro decks now. I mean, they're against those fatigue decks. I don't think aggro decks can compete against fatigue decks in certain angles without like a remembrance card.
So no, you make a really good point, and actually, I do like that reasoning a lot, which is that especially if some of those decks that lack the anti-fatigue tools get some new tools to be able to deal with fatigue, I think um, that would fulfill it even better. But I agree that the existence of remembrance um, removed some of the more creative and class identity specific methods of beating fatigue. Because yeah, instead of maybe having this one play or this certain pitch stack, you would just run remembrance instead, right? Um, so I agree with that actually. I think that makes a lot of sense. Is that the existence of remembrance removed more interesting methods of gameplay into the fatigue matchups.
Yeah. And I don't want to say that it was like not skill testing. Like what I was describing was very skill testing, yes. But I think knowing when to like how to play remembrance to pull which cards back is skill testing. Like I need these specific cards. And I mean sometimes it's I need 3 conks. But like sometimes it's like, oh, I need this card, and this card for this scenario, or like I think there's definitely some skill tests. And even just putting in your deck, I think is also like a constraint on your deck. It's a yellow no block. What do you, and you do nothing for turn when you play it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the well, it is an instance. It doesn't take an action point for what it's worth, but the fact that it
Well,
was a yellow no block was a real reason why it was a little more fair, right? Because you had this
mm,
yellow no block that you had to run in your deck that you, especially if you're in more than one and you double drew them, it was rough in some decks, especially against the aggro decks where they're just hitting you. Um, yeah, no, I like it. Like actually, for example, when it comes to gravy, you still have scuba. You can still scuba your ley
yeah.
lines, right? There are like some of the earth. Well, there's no earth decks, but there's an earth deck that gets to run Everbloom Life as a way to recur cards or Sotomaro. Um,
Mhm.
there are methods in the assassins to recur things, right? Like I want to say that there's a.
Codex.
Well, go ahead.
There's Codex of Frailty to recur things.
Right, you get to recur attacks the codex. There's some other funky ones. I know I heard someone mention that you could run Memorial Ground in some decks.
What I was just about to say.
Yeah.
'Cause I
So there's
heard
some
that
creative
too.
solutions that exist, which I think is another good reason to ban it.
Yeah. So we'll see how it actually affects the meta. I'm hoping that it doesn't do a lot and just makes the games more interesting. And like the one thing like I'm interested in too is like the way I play Flesh and Blood, or at least I've played in the past, is like, okay, I just need to outweight their power cards, and then I'm like in the green. I'm ready to go, especially as like a Guardian player. Like, I just need to wait for to see these six power cards gone, and then I'm green. I'm good to go. I can just go and like dominate and throw these attacks. It doesn't matter what they're throwing back at me. But it's hard with like remembrance sometimes because it's like, okay, well, I'll wait for these like majestics to come out my way, and then you see them like, okay, sweet. Now I can start turning on the gas. And then oh, here's remembrance. It's like, okay, got to sit back a little bit longer.
That was something too, actually,
Which is,
when it comes to it, is that it would shuffle the pitch stack. So you wouldn't even be incentivized to pitch deck in the first cycle because you're always
yeah.
shuffling the deck anyway. Um, Not always, obviously. That's a generalization because sometimes you wouldn't want to play it the first cycle, so you would
Hmm.
need to pitch deck. But regardless, um, as someone who plays Dio and plays a card that shuffles the deck and doesn't care about pitch deck because of it, I understand the merit of that removing some game complexity as well.
Yeah. And I think it's totally fine. I'm just interested to see how this changes the game because I
Yes.
actually think it's a minor thing that will change the game, but it could have a large impact.
Yes, agreed. Yeah, let's move on to the unbanned because remember this was the only card that was banned, but we did have some cards that were unbanned, and I predicted one of them. By the
You
way,
did. Do you want to start with that one?
I'll start with it. Skyward Serenade is unbanned, and I predicted it. I called it.
You
I
did
feel
call it. That's
I,
crazy.
I feel so vindicated for it. Yeah, I was like, you know what, Aurora is the worst performing new hero. I think that she could use a new power card. It can't be anything that all the heroes use. Skyward Serenade fits the bill. It's honestly, it's just a solid card. It's obviously strong, but you have to run these cards in your deck that are not good on by themselves. You have to it's a 2 block yellow, which obviously isn't the worst thing. You're always playing it, but it's still got some downsides to it. And honestly, the quote unquote typo or misprint, it's not the craziest thing. Like the card would be unplayable if it didn't have the misprint. And I think that the misprint makes it a good card and not too strong, especially in new Aurora. In old Aurora, I think, and with Lightning, Chill Lightning Valiants and whatnot, with the cards that surrounded it, it made it too strong. But I think in new Aurora, it's not actually too strong.
I think it was Flicker Wish that really
Yes.
drove it home because you go Flicker Wisp, Arc Lightning,
Yes.
Skyward Serenade, and it's like two arcane, two arcane, two arcane, or like just dealing a whole bunch of arcane, and then and then here's four physical, two arcane, into my weapon for two and two arcane,
Yep.
into my gold that deals two arcane, and my chess piece that deals two arcane.
Exactly.
It like that's where it's like I think it was egregious on the back of Flicker Wisp. But like honestly, like I would like when you mentioned it, like I didn't think they'd bring it back because it seems like LSS is pretty unhappy because it's a misprint. They're like, we don't want a misprint in the game. But they also want a hero to be playable and not Huntsman tier, especially when they have something in their back pocket that can or like the original Huntsman before modern times. But like where like there's just no reason to play this hero. Like it just does nothing. So it's like they're like, we have this tool in our back pocket. We don't like it, but we want to make sure this deck can actually come out and play, and people aren't just going to get beat up every single time.
Exactly. Yeah, so I thought it makes sense. I do like the unban.
Yeah,
Um, and I don't think that this makes Aurora necessarily too strong in any way. I think she's just a playable
I
deck now.
think it will.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like
Speaking
that unbanned too. Like, I think if we didn't know it was a misprint, I think that people would be like, yeah, it makes sense. I expected that actually.
Yeah, it's literally just the conversation on the misprint that makes it an awkward an awkward topic.
Yeah, it's just fine. I just think it's interesting.
Yeah. So we have another lightning unban, and I didn't expect this one. And I don't
I don't
even
think
actually
anyone did.
do you I didn't get to read the section on it. Did you read the section on why they unbanned?
Uh,
Well, I guess we
um,
should say it for the listeners.
yeah, yeah.
Blue, specifically just blue, electromagnetic somersault is unbanned. I'm not
So
go for it.
I'm reading back into it a little bit, and it's exactly what I was thinking. But they're trying to give Ziggy more tools because
It is for Ziggy. Why?
yeah.
Comfortable with a small addition for now to complement a hero that's already found some reasonable success during
So
national championship season. So I
like,
guess their illusionist wasn't doing as well as they wanted to.
well, and I think like a lot of the beginning of this is talking about the criticism again of the meta not being changed by some heroes, and like, oh, like if that comes out, the meta's not changed. I honestly feel like this is there's them being like, okay, we're gonna let Ziggy run the meta. Like Ziggy's gonna be a dominant force. We're gonna let like here's Ziggy. Here's electromagnetic magnetic somersault. Now you can block with your phantasmaclasm in a blue, and then get that back and phantasmaclasm to your opponent. Like,
Well, what's funny is that
you can block 6 off.
you can also play Phantasmaclasm and then recycle it with Electromagnetic Somersault to play the next turn. Yeah,
Yeah,
or is that what you're
and I
saying?
think
Sorry, I might have.
no.
Okay,
You said something different. I was
okay,
saying
my
like the
bad.
defensive side of it because it allows you to
Yeah, yeah,
block to protect auras and bring it back in your hand when you have the Iris build. But I honestly think this is just being like, okay, we haven't had a meta deck in a while from a set. Let's let Ziggy be meta. Like I don't even think Ziggy's best deck from this. Like I just think they're like, hey, we're gonna let Ziggy be A S tier, A or S tier. We're gonna let him warp the meta in his own way because this is what people want. And of course, it's the illusionist. So we're gonna
yeah.
let Ziggy warp the meta, and here's the card to do that.
To be fair, I do think that this is actually a pretty heads up unban when it comes to where the meta is going, right? Because we're
Yeah,
going into a pretty aggressive meta that Ziggy
yeah,
will start struggling into. And so I do think that this isn't going to make Ziggy too strong because he's already going to be at a slight disadvantage due to the way the meta is shifting.
yeah. And then they gave him the blue because only Ziggy can really use the blue,
Yeah.
and they don't want to give Acilio more tech again.
I assume that
'Cause-
the intention too is to try to encourage Ziggy to go more into the fragment card route, because those are
mhm.
all 2 costs or greater. Um, And I think what the current Ziggy deck runs Phantasmaclasm, but what else does it run for 2 or greater cost attacks?
Uh, I think a bunch of the blue
Sure.
and just,
The blue filler
like
cards, yeah.
you can sneak in some other card that maybe like you
Right.
can sneak in some other phantasm cards maybe Enigma Chimera.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm trying to get at is like for the most part, it's kind of just not doing anything in the current deck. Like it's doing something, but it's not doing
Yeah,
it's not a 1 card block 6, for example.
yeah.
And so I assume that the intention, which obviously they don't mention here, but I assume the some of the behind the scenes intention is to try to encourage the use to play more into the fragment attack route.
That's fair.
Would you like to talk about the last unban?
So the last one we got is talk a big game. And
Talk a
if you
big
don't know what
game.
that is, let me tell you.
Oh, I should pull it up.
Choose a number. The next, sorry. Ah, that's so blurry, the picture in there. Yeah, let me pull this up real quick.
Here, I'll have it here in a second. I'm pulling up on the video as well. Talk a big game. It's a blue 0 cost, brute guardian action, block 3, majestic. Choose a number. The next time you deal that much or more physical damage to a hero this turn, create that many might tokens. Go again. So it's like a gambly card, right? Where you're saying you play it, you pick a number. If you do that much damage, you'll make that many might tokens. And so you're trying to either encourage your opponent to block it, or your opponent just can't block it because you're playing Lyeth and you put confidence on a 30 power attack. um, cool card. By the way, this card was a pre-banned. It existed in the format, but it was banned prior to Super Slam coming out in fears
Yeah,
that it would make Lyeth too good. Again, another part of the discourse when it comes to releasing
yeah.
strong
Well,
heroes.
I do want to say, like, when they unbanned this, they were like, "We're unbanning this. We're not going to tell you. We're not
Is that
they
what they
literally
said?
just say, yeah. Here, let's see, like, get the actual words. The final unban here comes from Talk a Big Game. This edition is meant to be a bit of a wild card for players to evaluate, and unlike the card's namesake, it feels less like the less we say here, the better, and that's all they say.
I like
Like, we're not gonna tell you. Figure it out. Go do it.
that.
Go explore. Which
So
I think is
okay,
really cool.
so the thing about this card, right, is that
Yeah.
Lyeth released and did not have this card, and was not quite strong enough, despite having the 5 intellect, and was kind of shoehorned into this weird fatigue build with Rampart, taking advantage of Rampart and the generated might tokens, and trying to do these defensive setup turns with the Suspensors to take advantage of the 5 intellect. Um, and you would also run like the Fiddler's Greens and
Mhm.
Oyster Spice and the cards that would get you at least 3 value per card. Um, but you couldn't run too many attacks because those would get halved, right? So it was this weird build where you didn't quite have enough power to justify an aggressive version. There did end up being some aggressive versions that came out later due to I think it was mostly the competitive wraith cards that enabled it.
Mhm.
Some of the more like Razor Reflex style lists, for example. But it was still not quite strong enough. And I think that had Lyeth released with Talk a Big Game, it wouldn't have been too strong because it wouldn't have had the Companion Wraith cards yet, and it would have not just been a weird fatigue deck. um, so I'm excited to see how strong Life becomes because of this card. I don't think that it will make him too strong. That's my prediction. I think that it will be a strong card. I think that it'll be part of the combo game plan, but that is still a fairly fragile combo game plan that he has to enable.
I don't know how much it changes Lyeth, honestly, in the meta standing. Like, it obviously makes him better. Like, I think it makes him better. But in the same vein, like, I'm interested to see how much it actually changes Lyeth's, like, actual meta representation and how good Lyeth actually feels. Because you still have to take the turns to set up. And if you see that, especially with Talk a Big Game now, you can just arsenal a defense reaction. And
Well, you say that, but there are confidence tokens in the game and in Lyeth.
kind of.
And not okay, and you're guardian brained here. Not every deck has unmovable or staunch response in their in their deck to arsenal.
Maybe I am a little guardian brain. Like, and the problem is I'm trying to be even more impartial because like Valda, like it just doesn't mean like talk a big game doesn't mean anything in Valda, which is like really sad and funny at the same time.
I was gonna ask you about that later on. Um, but we'll get to that later. But in
Well,
terms
well,
of
I mean the talk a big game in Lyeth against Valda is what
oh,
I
okay,
mean.
okay. I
And
see.
Lyeth against Valda because Lyeth does whatever, builds all these auras, and at least my build at least runs the disenchantments. And with Talk a Big Game, I might actually move to 3 disenchantments instead of 2, but like 3 disenchantments, so I can, and so I just sit in Arsenal, wait until Lyeth does something crazy, and then I go, okay, disenchantment of the old ones, you can't block it. Like you just don't have enough defense as a deck. Destroy all of your auras and continue. But like
So it
even
was
then, like
sorry, I was just saying it was really funny because whenever we were first talking about Lyeth matchup as Valda, I was like, oh, it's probably not like actually that great of a matchup for you. And you're like, wait, no, this is actually a very good matchup for me. And I was like, "Look, they don't draw cards, they don't they get to stack damage on you. Like, why is it good for you?" And then you showed the deck list where you have the disenchantment of the old ones, which destroys all their auras. You have
choke
choke slam,
slam.
which stops power gaining. You have there's another card you had in there too that was
I
strong.
mean, there's the other heave card, which isn't as important, but it's like
There's something else, but you just like have this inherent hate for for Lyeth in your deck.
yeah,
I was like, oh yeah, I guess and you could just add more if you wanted to, if you need to.
yeah.
So yeah,
And that's why I'm like, I'm thinking about putting in the 3rd disenchantment.
I
But
mean, why not just
we'll
have it
see.
over the other one, right?
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking recently. The reason I actually have 2 and 2, which is kind of funny. Like I might like the reason I had 2 and 2 for a while was because into Huntsman, it's important that I have Heave 2 cards. And if they hit a Heave 2 off the top of the deck, I still have Heave 2 in my 2 Heave 2s in my deck.
Yes, makes sense. Okay, I thought it was just like
Super
this like
spicy. But
spread into maybe like Victor or something or Jarl having the negative
I
one
mean,
counters as well.
That's why I had the like 2 and 2 and not 2-1-1 because like
Fair,
I
yeah.
could go 2-1-1 and be like even more protected against Huntsman doing some silly shenanigans. But like I had some belief in some cards doing more than others.
Yeah, makes sense. Um, but yeah, so we've been talking a lot about Lyeth's use of Talk a Big Game, but keep in mind, this is a Brute slash Guardian action card. So not only do Guardians get this card, but also Brutes get it. And there are two Brutes in the game, right? Oh, sorry, there's three Brutes in the game. I always forget about the third one. there,
Levi is
there.
barely, but she's also
Oh no,
extremely good.
I was talking about Stephnet.
Oh, there's also
uh,
underhanded cheat.
oh, sorry, there's four. There's four Brutes in the game. Yeah,
So you forgot about two of them.
I forgot about two of them. Yeah, I kind of forgot about I forgot about Cheeto. Yeah, so there are a lot of heroes that actually have access to this card, which is the fun part because there's so many possibilities, right? So we talked about Lyath already. Obvious pick for this card. Definitely
Yeah,
running three copies, right?
probably best deck to run this.
Yes, probably best deck to run this. The second best deck to run this is Rhinar. And the reason for that is that you intimidate the hand, which Lyeth also can do, by the way. Lyeth can intimidate almost your entire hand, but
That's
also
true.
has confidence tokens. So Lyeth has so many ways to remove your blocking ability to be able to name a bigger number with Talk a Big Game. But
I think
Rhinar,
the
go
biggest
ahead.
thing about Lyeth is you can just name a big like I buff to 1,000% or like 100, and then you're like, okay, I named 50. Okay, sure, you can block a lot, but I'm still gonna get the like nice.
Right. The way that they can stack the Aura Suspense, they have the arms that can make them tick down with how they want to. They have the confidence tokens that they can kind of make on demand as well to line up with this plus power. There's so many ways, like they just have easy ways to force through damage, right? And force through a large number with Talk a Big Game, right? Um, like into most decks, what's the largest they can block when it's confidence? Like 8 to 4 power D reacts is most decks ceiling on blocking a confidence card, right? Or I guess it's not. It does say non-block cards for confidence, doesn't it? So I guess there are some
Yeah,
decks
they
that run
do.
block cards. So maybe Teklevossen can block more. um, but anyway, the ceiling is typically 8 for non-guardian decks. Um, but regardless, going on to Rhinar, Rhinar also has this ability to remove the blocking capability of the opponent. And against some decks, like aggro decks, they don't care. They just say, "Yeah, you can send me these cards. I wasn't gonna block with them anyway, unless Talk a Big Game is attached to something." And so now Reiner gets to have a blue card in their blue base, which is not a 6, so it's not the most ideal. But they get to have this blue card in their blue base that can get a large value when they intimidate aggro heroes that wouldn't want to normally block anyway. Uh, so Reiner, I think, is the second obvious thought for this card. Third one is Cheeto, right? You have a deck that has this kind of evasive damage. It has some damage stacking. You have um, like sneaky damage. You have pummels. Sometimes you have razor reflexes. Um, you have a lot of
You
damage.
think Tito's the third best deck to run this?
I think so because you have such a flexible blue base in that deck,
Yeah.
right? You don't need to have sixes in your blues. Um, it's ideal because you get to run the newer arms to give +1 to an attack, but you don't need to have sixes in your blue base.
So my
Um,
problem with it in Cheeto. So, okay, I'm going super
yeah, go
spicy.
for it.
I've done a lot of like theory with Talk a Big Game.
Yeah, yeah,
Obviously, I'm
yeah.
a Brute Guardian player. So, but like with Cheeto, like what are you gonna do it on? Like the only thing you're really gonna do it into is Big Bully because Big Bully is gonna get doubled and now it's coming in for 12 and I want to eat your entire hand to fatigue you, so I'll aim 4 on it. But then like any other attack, you're gonna be like, oh, okay, this is coming in for 1. My Talk a Big Game, I'm naming 4. Okay, you're making it 6. Or I name 3. Like you're making it 6. And if you name something higher or something that like seems a little unreasonable, they have a pummel in hand.
Sure.
And that was
Um,
like,
but what are you gonna do about it? Again, you're guardian brained. I'm playing Dio. My KO opponent plays Talk a Big Game into Big Bully. What am I gonna do about it? So
I
you have to
I
think about
think
how this card plays in other matchups, right?
no,
Um,
and I'm saying like I agree with that, but the thing is, I think any like guardian or brute can do that into like a similar thing. Like, oh, a 2 card 8 in Valda. Like I could into a Syndra, talk a big game, name 4, and throw choke slam off of one seismic surge, 2 card 8, on hit 4 mites. Like that's like pretty much what you're talking about with RKO.
Yeah, so but a lot of RKO's damage is vanilla, right? Whereas
Yeah.
in other decks, usually you're also attaching it to another on hit. So then you're stacking on hits, right? Whereas a lot of RKO's damage is vanilla. You get to just ignore it unless there's a talk a big game on it. And this is where we had a conversation when we were talking about it in Valda, which is I think that this card has a super high skill ceiling on it. A
Yeah.
super high skill ceiling. And a very high skill floor to match. Because you have to consider maybe how many T reacts your opponent has, how much blocking capability they have, how much they want to block in certain situations, right? Maybe you don't get the effect. Maybe you name an amount that you know you're not going to get if they block, but by forcing them to block because you name a certain amount, you are getting a lot of value out of this card. Also, when we come back to Cheeto, one of Cheeto's biggest problems is converting hands, which is why he runs so many like looking for scraps and some other cards, some other kind of like mediocre cards with go again, is because a lot of times when you give Cheeto a full hand, they can't really do much. They have to roll scabs or something, right? And so this is another way to convert the hand. It's a blue block 3 that converts the hand, right? I think that
Fair enough.
Cheeto
And he
is
doesn't care about the 6 power base.
right outside of the arms. The arms is a reason to care, right? Because you a lot of times they run they're looking for a scrap and then they get to like arms into something, right? Um,
Mhm.
but outside of that, yeah, they don't care about the blue base all that much. So I think Shudo likes this card. I think they run at least 2 copies, maybe 3. That's my theory. I think that there's it in like I mentioned with you. I think that 95% of the time in decks that are not Lyeth and maybe Rhinar, this card is just a blue block 3. But then the 5% of the time that you play this card and you know what you're doing and you are naming the correct value and find the right spots to play this card, it is like a 10 out of 10 card. It just does so much work.
So the one thing like, I think there's a couple, like at least Pallades. I think Pallades also runs a suspense or a game. So I think she's in a similar boat as like Lyeth, where she can stack. She makes confidence a lot better than Lyeth does. It's on her hero attacks, and you can play more into that if you're especially if you're playing the more aggressive build. So you could play a confidence Pallades list with talk a big game and start stacking my counters. And that's what I'm like, I think that's stronger than what RKO is doing.
I'm gonna be honest, I just kind of forgot about Pleiades. She's definitely she might be the second best one to run this card,
Yeah.
actually.
And that's why it's like she also like she lost her fatigue outlet by Victor LLing because she lost her hammer. So
Yes.
now like she like I'm sure she'll still fatigue, but I think it's a lot more reasonable again to look at her more aggressive suspense or game plan to get that confidence, talk a big game. So that's why I'm like, I think it's Lyeth, I think it's Pallades, I think that it's Rhinar.
Honestly, Pleiades looks like such a fun deck to craft and test out now
Pallades
because of
looks
Talk a
so
Big Game.
cool.
And yeah, like you mentioned, because Victor has now LL'd by Victor, um, the fatigue outlet for that deck is not realistic anymore because Miller's was a fairly large part of the fatigue game plan. Um, so you're a more aggressive deck,
Yeah.
and you get to move around the counters with the hero ability. You get to move around the counters with Pleiades hero text and stack up these suspense auras to all pop at the same time. And like you mentioned, you make confidence very easily in that deck. So you're kind of doing what Lyeth is doing as in the same way, in the same vein, but you get to potentially um, line up these suspense auras even better.
Yeah. No, and that's I'm like, I think Pallades is very high up
Yeah,
there.
I just honestly forgot
But
about
we're
Pleiades.
but we're talking about how strong attacks with confidence are with talk a big game. What about
Yeah,
attacks with dominate?
not as good.
It's
Because there's arbor. No,
not as good, that's true. But
but yeah,
but it's not overpower.
it is not overpower. Overpower is way worse with
It's
it.
also evasion.
Yeah. No, yeah, and that's why like I am surprised that you are. It sounds like you're less high on this card in Valda. Like you might not be running it.
So I the more I play it, the more I like it.
Really?
And it's feeling like a tectonic instability where it's like when it works, it works. But there's been games where I'm like, I'm gonna name a number and they're gonna block it. But then I'm gonna arsenal this spinal crush, knowing they have no equipment because they blocked my talk a big game.
Yep.
Or if they don't block it, my spinal crush is coming in for 13.
Exactly.
Like, like
Like you find yourself with space, you find yourself with this extra card in hand, you name a number that is the most painful for your opponent, and you capitalize on it. And I think that's just so strong, right? Like exactly for the reason you mentioned into aggro specifically, you get to throw an attack that might not have an on hit they would care about. Like they might just say, yeah, no blocks, I don't care. But if you play talk a big game and name 4, suddenly they care. Or you name 3 so that there might be a crush effect. They normally would be like, yeah, I'm okay with taking that. But now they don't even want to take the crush effect, or they don't want to take the talk a big game effect either. So they have to block even more than they would for to stop the crush effect to stop the talk a big game effect, right? Um, and something else to note about this, by the way, is that it's the next time you deal that much damage, not the next attack you play. So you can name 2 or 3, and then if you have a go again attack, like an E strike, for example, then or like in Cheeto, if you have like looking for a scrap, you get to name a value, and every attack you play that turn that threatens that much damage is threatening the on hit for talk a big game.
yeah, one second, I have to look at that again.
Yeah, it's just the next time you deal
Whoa,
that much damage.
that's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. So pretty
That's
good card. Not a lot of brute. Well, brutes can definitely do it.
yeah,
Not
but
a lot of
Guardians can't
guardians.
really use the value of the go again.
Right.
That's so crazy. What? I
Brutes
didn't
definitely
even
can.
I never
Yeah.
realized that.
Yeah. Uh,
Reinar, I named 6. 6, go again, 6, go
yep.
like on a
I mean that's a little bit more sus because
that's a
you just
little
give one piece of armor
yeah.
in front of each,
But
but yeah.
like into an aggro deck that has all 0 block and armor already blocked, like 6, and then just throw like 2 sixes. Or like or
Yeah,
even 4, and then just throw 2 sixes, and it's like, well, I'm demanding 2 cards on both attacks.
exactly. Well, you're demanding one card on both attacks, but yeah. But then, like paired with intimidate, right?
And
Um
this is why I'm not good at talk a big game. Math. Just
Yeah, I think this is such a cool card, and we'll get into this later, but it does almost upset me that we didn't get this off the bat with Lyeth and some of the other heroes. I think that it would have been really
so,
cool to just have this off the bat when Super Slam came out.
so I think that like it is a very scary card because life hits, they get 10 mites. Oh, they drew the next one. They hit, they get like 12, 13, 14 mites.
Yeah,
Oh, and they drew the next one. Well, if I don't kill you here, I make another 10 mites. Like that's what's so scary about talk a big game is it kind of stacks on itself.
yes, it is scary. And especially in Lyeth when you're drawing 5 cards, you find it faster, right?
Yeah.
And you can find the second copy easier too. Kind of like the whole Blood Rush 3 of a kind theory, where the more of them you play, the more you find them. But in Lyeth, you just have higher intellect, so you just go through your deck faster. Um,
And I think that this wasn't a problem until that set for a few reasons. Like it was something I was saying right before it was banned. Is like I was actually debating putting Alvalda before the ban, but in like Lyeth and Pallades don't care about their pitch base nearly as much. Like oh, okay, like 2 cost, whatever, 0 cost, whatever. And I, like the Guardian thing is like it says 0 in the top right hand corner, and it doesn't attack. So Lyeth and or not Lyeth, Victor never wanted to run it. It's not an attack. Why would I run it? And then you had Bravo. It doesn't cost 3. That's impossible to run. It doesn't cost 3. And then there's like Jarl, which I'm not throwing a big enough attack, and everything I'm throwing is already disruption. Why would I play a card that does almost nothing? Like that those 3 heroes just didn't care to use it. And then Falda came out, which I think is interesting, and it's something that I'm definitely considering now. But I need to do some more testing, and then going into and then again like Pallades and Lyeth, because like it doesn't matter what the cost curve is. It doesn't matter that they have non-attacks. It doesn't matter, but it's a blue block 3, and that's perfect. And that's where it's like scary because it can kind of combo off of that idea.
yeah, exactly. I know. I I unironically, I'm thinking about. I'm gonna put together a Pleiades deck for Tuesday. I'm excited to try Pleiades. With talk a big game. Oh, it's not. Wait, is it? Is it? It is legal because it's legal on Monday, right? The BnR.
Yes.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah. I'm
after
putting
Nationals.
together effective from Monday, July 6th. Yes. So effective tomorrow. Yeah, I'm putting together Pleiades list for Tuesday. I'm excited. I want to see how egregious I can make this talk a big game card.
Mhm.
um.
Yeah.
But yeah. So then we have some other heroes like so you mentioned Jarl. Can't really use this card very well.
It's
Um,
so bad, Jarl.
yeah,
It's
it
so
doesn't make
bad.
sense in Jarl.
It's,
We have Levia, who doesn't really want this card in the deck.
I
You
don't
can
like.
have
I
it,
could see it, but
yeah. Like it's almost a similar role as it would be in your deck into aggro, right? Where you just want to try to incentivize blocks with it. But probably again not exactly what you're looking to do. You also would probably have to cut a blue like conditional block 6 for it. Um, but so yeah, who else am I missing? Tough Nut probably doesn't want to run this either.
yeah.
um, anybody else? Who else am I forgetting?
Tough Nut Rhino.
That's
Rhino.
it, right?
KO.
Oh, Betsy.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Betsy.
Um,
Oh, the Guardian that you play.
yeah. Betsy's an interesting one, right? Because, like we mentioned, overpower is a much weaker keyword when it comes to this card.
But you just got a
However,
weapon that doesn't care about your pitch.
yes, we have a weapon that doesn't care about pitch, and we do still have an evasive keyword on demand.
Yes.
So it's not the worst. I do want to try it out in Betsy. I don't think it's nearly as strong as Blythe and Pleiades, for example, but it is a playable card in her. And because you also can run this Aura Suspense. In fact, I was running Aura Suspense in my list for the slower matchups. And you I've been trying to theory craft it in the background while I've been thinking about some other decks and whatnot, where you can run the Aura Suspense into everything, and then you talk a big game into the aggro matchups as well now, to capitalize on it. And it's also not a like you're not wagering with it, so you're not giving your opponent something if they do block it out, which is nice.
That is
um,
nice.
so we'll see. I've been thinking about it. I don't know that it's. I think it's a card you'll play in Betsy, but I don't. I think it'll be more of like you play it 1 or 2% of the time instead of 5% of the time.
Yeah. No, I could definitely see it. Like, you got the totem pole, and Betsy's still on the totem pole. It's not like Jarl and Bravo off to the side looking at the totem pole,
Bravo,
wishing they could use it.
forgot about Bravo
But
too.
Bravo can't run that. I'm gonna tell you now. Bravo looks at card, says, "Man, I wish it cost 3," and then moves on.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's a Bravo that does decently well at Vegas because of this card.
I wouldn't
Just putting it
be
out there.
like. I think I'm a little sarcastic. Like, I'm sure it's good in Bravo, especially when it's like, the, but the I'm sure it's good in Bravo. But the problem is, all of his big attacks cost so much on top of his dominate. How do you like you to play this card? Actually, have to keep entire hand. Your opponent cannot attack you. If they attack you, you lose talk a big game. And then the problem is, it's always the first card you block with. And like the best case scenario is this is a turn 0, I dominate you for 10 kind of card. And I talk a big
or
game.
or you play an Aura of Suspense list and you have on demand dominate.
Okay, maybe, but I don't know. I don't
Okay,
know.
imagine this world where you play any red Aura of Suspense to
Just
give like let's say +4.
maybe I have to get rid of my like idea of what Bravo is for this card.
You also have to picture this. You're playing into any
Mm,
deck that is not Guardian and does not have a million armor.
I guess.
Right? Okay, now go back to this
Okay,
imaginary
okay.
scenario where
Okay, I'm stepping in.
you throw a Starstruck for dominated 14. All right.
Mhm.
And you have talk a big game on it and you name 4. And your opponent can't block it. They literally just cannot stop the 4. It's not possible. And then the next turn you throw a dominated crippling crush for 15. Is it 15? It's
It's
10,
11.
11 plus 4,
And
right?
Starstruck is 10.
Yeah, so 14 into 15 dominate. Yeah. So now your one card gave you well, it still gave you 4 value, but maybe it stops a crush effect that wouldn't have gone through anyway, right? Because you would have thrown it for 11 instead, and they could actually stop it. I think that it gets a lot of value in Bravo. If you play the Suspense Auras or some of I know you don't agree with me, but I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if there's a Bravo that does well. Maybe that's in top 8 Pro Tour, but like makes day 2 with a Aura of Suspense talk big game list.
So okay. I want to say that what you're saying does make sense. I don't know. I just don't see the why would I the problem I have with Bravo right now is any way you'd want to play Bravo, you're just the worst of any of the other
Oh,
Guardians.
for sure. Yeah.
You're just way worse than any of the other Guardians on how you want to play Bravo. So why would I play this? I'm gonna dominate talk a big game deck when I have to keep my entire hand when Valda right over on the side there doesn't have to keep her entire hand because it's actually free the turn you play talk a big game. So she can still block 6 and do the exact same play.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's the right choice. I'm saying that
It's
someone's gonna do
possible.
it.
There's a possibility. No, and I mean, like, the reason to run Bravo is his specs. Like, his specs are insane.
Yes. That is the real reason, is the specs. And you just always have dominate. It doesn't matter what your opponent does, doesn't matter what
Yeah,
what hands you draw unless you draw all reds.
all
You just
reds.
always have dominate.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I don't know. Like, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll
I'm
see.
sure there is going to be a Bravo deck that runs it.
Yeah.
That is going to happen. That is a deck that exists in Flesh and Blood. It is legal to build a deck with that card in your deck as Bravo.
Exactly. See, you understand.
I understand.
uh,
That is a legal play.
all right. Is there anything else on the CC BnR before we move on to Silver Age BnR?
No, I think that's exciting though. Like to see so many unbans. Like
I'm excited for it. It's so
it is
cool.
super exciting. It is super cool. And talk a big game is exciting.
It's
It's
a fun
gonna
card.
we'll see how it changes the meta.
I am curious. Like the more I think about it, the more I am concerned about its strength in Lyeth and Pleiades.
Yeah.
Um,
The,
but we'll see.
we'll
See
see.
how it goes.
They probably banned it for a reason.
Yeah,
And here we are.
it's fine. It's fine.
It's fine. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. All right, Silver Age. This is a spicy one. I think the first one's the most spicy, so let's leave it for last. I'm gonna go in
That
reverse
is
order from
actually
image.
the most spicy, so
Yeah.
you're correct.
All right, so the first unban is Rainbow Vigorous Smash Up, which for those that don't remember, it's the brute action attack that when it defends clash, and you make a vigor token and you can put a card on the bottom of the deck, or the card you clash with at the bottom of the deck.
The owner of the card gets to put a card from on their deck on the bottom.
The owner of the winning card.
No. It's just the owner of the card.
Oh, I see.
And
Yeah,
then
yeah. So
if whoever wins gets a figure.
yeah. Pretty strong card in Silver Age because it is a 3 block that in the decks that you run it with and will often give you a vigor token. And it's also just a brute card. It's not like a revered brute card, for example. So super strong card. Think that Tough Nut gets a lot from this in Silver Age.
Oh, I think that's
Um,
huge for
a really big deal for Tough Nut. And what else? Another brute that I wanted to use this. Maybe I'm forgetting it. I think it's mostly a Tough Nut.
Reinar. Like it's okay in Reinar.
Yeah, it's okay. KO is banned, so you can't run in KO. Or at least the OG non-rolling a 6-sided die for your attack KO. But yeah, and then we have Steel Blade Shunt in Rainbow that gets unbanned. I don't know about this one. I heard some opinions of the armor last week that people were excited for it, and I was like, "You just want to play Decimator?" And they're like, "Yeah, I just want to play Decimator." It's not exciting from somebody who does not want to play Decimator. But Decimator wasn't very good right now, so maybe it's
all
fine.
colors got unbanned. Honestly,
Yeah,
that's why I was like, I could have seen blue, sure. or
Yeah.
like red as a one of, sure. But all of them, I mean, I think a lot of this on bans is like they made the power level so much higher, and they're like, yeah, we'll match it. Like,
With the defensive tools, yeah.
yeah.
I agree. I think that it's probably fine. I'm curious to see if its estimator becomes almost too good because of it. Um, but yeah, do you want to talk about the last two unbans?
So here come the biggest ones: Seeds of Agony,
Seas of Agony,
unbanned,
Rainbow, unbanned.
Rainbow. I was thinking about building Chain.
Chain looks
Now I
like so
really
much
want
fun. Yeah.
to. He looks so much fun. And if you don't know what Seeds of Agony been, because it's been a long time since it's been legal in any format. It is a at red. It is a red zero cost block 2 Shadow Runeblade action. You may play Seeds of Agony from your banish zone. The next attack action card with cost 2 or less, 1 or less, or 0 or less, depending on the color. You play this turn, gets 1 this attacks, deal 1 arcane damage to target hero.
And the reason why it was banned and why it was so strong is because this is a very easy enabler for some of the cards you banish that require you to play a non-attack action. It's a zero cost non-attack action. Yeah, it only gets you quote unquote one value, but because it enables the other cards to be played, it allows for these like you could just dump your hand and then you banish Seas of Agony and what's that zero cost one? I'm forgetting.
Oh, I
There's some
forget.
zero.
It's been a long
Yeah, it's
time
been a
since
while.
Chain's been out.
Actually, what you do is you block with three cards, leave yourself a blue. You banish Seas of Agony, and one of the many attack action cards that just require you to play a non attack action to play them. You get to activate Chain after you play Seeds, you chain, you play the attack, and then you swing your weapon. And so you basically did like a one card 8 or something like that. It's insane.
So the
Um,
idea is you banish all your seeds, and then
yes.
you throw chain spec, which is
Or the
the,
yeah.
and then you follow it up with where is it's bounding
Bounty or rifting? No, no, not rifting. Rift breaker,
rift bind,
rift
which
bind.
is
Yes,
1 for 3 that says you may play rift bind from your banished zone. If you do, this gets plus X, where X is the number of non-attack action cards you've played,
yeah. So you can get an
and then
extra
you
value
can,
off of each of them that way.
and off of like two
Instead
card
of
hand, you deal like you just make the first card deal all the arcane damage, but like in theory, off a 2 card hand, you could do 12 damage off your first attack, dealing 6 arcane and 6 physical into, oh, math is hard, 9.
it's
And that's
basically
2
like
cards.
a yeah, it's like anti fatigue, right?
Yeah.
So that's like a good game plan into Oldhim, for example, where they're not really hitting you for much. You can kind of just build your shackles, block out,
Yep.
and then you'll build your banish zone with these Seeds of Agony that you'll just get to combo off on them
Just
with.
take the blood debt. That's fine.
Yeah, because like you're not getting dealt damage outside of your blood debt. You just
Yeah.
have to block out. Um, so really strong card. It's good into both fatigue and aggro because you get to stack them against fatigue, but you also get to convert them for solid value into aggro. You get to run all the colors are good. Also, I think you do just run 6 copies in Silver Age. Um,
I would think so.
yeah, I'd be surprised if you don't. Because even like the yellow and blue that are a little more restrictive, the nice thing about them is you get to pitch them early game so that whenever you empty your deck late game, these are part of your late game push, right? Um, so really cool card. I'm excited for it. Chain was not putting up numbers at all. He was clearly just not strong
No,
enough
which
with
is
the banning
crazy.
of the RuneGate cards. Um, Also, this has some fun interactions with some other the newer cards that came out in Omens. For example, Leech Vitality, the 1 for 3 that whenever an attack, Runeblade attack action card or something like that you control deals damage, you gain a life. Um, Seeds of Agony specifically has the attack action card deal the arcane damage. So there are some cards like that where um, you get the additional benefit because it's the attack action card doing the damage, not Seeds of Agony. Um, Things like that. There's some fun interactions as well that have popped up. But cool card. I think Chain actually did need the help. I do wish that there was a way to unban the RuneGate cards for Vincent, while also not having Chain get these ring gate cards. But
Yeah.
um, we'll see. We'll see when that world happens.
Yeah, no, we'll see. I It is cool to see Chain get that back. I'm so interested to actually play Chain. He was so good when I started the game, and I never actually sat down and play him, so it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah,
And then, last but not least,
not least.
Cash In. If anything, most, very much most, Cash In. So let me read this to you. It's a yellow. It costs 4. It blocks 2, and it says draw 2 cards. Go again.
Interesting.
Wait. Sorry.
Hold
You may
on.
destroy 4 copper, 2 silvers, or 1 gold you control rather than paying Cash-In's cost.
Oh, I see.
Okay, that's a lot better. Well, hold on.
Hold on. Wait, you're saying it's free if you destroy some number of items?
A gold, which, pirates can really easily create.
Pirates
Kasai
can
can
make
also
some
really
gold.
easily create.
What was that?
Kasai can also really easily create a gold.
Kasai can make gold fairly easily. Olympia can make gold fairly easily.
Now I can play the merchants. Oh, wait, are they majestics?
Oh, they might be majestics. They might not be legal.
No, Cavdane is legal, but he makes copper.
Doesn't he give your opponent a copper or something?
Oh, wait,
All right, I'm gonna pull up Cavdine. Hold on. For the stream,
hold
'cause
on,
I,
hold
I
on.
I doubt a lot of people know what Cavdine does. Have
We haven't gotten a merchant in a while.
we need an actual playable merchant. All right, Cavdine, Trader of Skins. This is from Crucible of War. 4 intellect, 20 health, merchant hero. Once per turn action, pay 3 resources. If a hero has more health than all other heroes, they lose 1 health and create a copper token. Then, if a hero has less health than all other heroes, they gain 1 health. Go again.
So if I have more health, I could activate that and give myself a
Yes,
copper.
that's true. If you have more health, you can give yourself a copper, and if you have less health, you can spend 3 resources to give yourself 1 health and give your opponent a copper. I guess okay, your opponent loses a health and gets a copper. Um, so it's actually not the worst, which is kind of interesting.
So like off topic. What is that? What is that card that I forget what it is? It's from Heavy Hitters. Down but not out. Where if you have less
Oh,
equipment, less
yeah.
health, less tokens, it
Okay.
gets +2 overpower on hit all these tokens. The thing I played into a Cavdane once where they would let themselves when they pulled down they'd give you a copper at some point in the game by having more life. Or like they'd be lower life, they'd give you a copper, gain a life. And then they'd have down but not out, and they blocked with all their equipment at this point. And they're like, oh well you have a copper token. That's a token. I have less life because you attacked me last turn. And I have less equipment. So anyways, 6 overpower on hit, all the stuff.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah, that's
fun
actually
deck.
kind of fun. I'd be down to try that out.
Makes down but not out really easy to hit in Cavdane. Because even decks that don't generate tokens, you're just giving them tokens by giving them copper. And it's not like
Right.
anyone's going to use the copper.
Yeah, and it's not the worst that I mean you're converting a blue for like 2 value. So it's not the worst, but it's also not great. Um but it's interesting. And then, if you activate your ability 4 times, you get to activate cash in.
So that
4
was.
times while
I,
above health and losing
but,
yourself health.
Mhm. That was a little sarcastic with cash in with Cavdane, but the down but not out is fun. But I mean, there is decks that create gold, and I mean, there's starting stake. Anyone can run starting stake and then cash in.
That's true. You can turn your +1 card advantage into a +0 card advantage. That is
Yeah,
an
but
option.
yeah, the thing is, you're doing that offensive overlap thing.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's not.
It's a meme, but yeah, it's a meme to say that it's bad, but it is actually not. It is actually
I
relevant.
mean, Viscerai likes all the non-attack actions. You could just run starting stake and Viscerai to
Yeah.
like play that, and then you arsenal a cash in. You could even have 2 starting stakes, 2 cash ins. Wait until I don't know how well that
What
would work.
you know what? That's actually not a bad thought is like starting state cash in to beat fatigue is a real thing, isn't
Yeah.
it?
And then you wait until you have 2 gold and 2 starting or 2 gold, and then you have your 2 cash-ins, and then you go cash in, 6-card hand. Good luck. And at
But
that point, you've
you can't
probably
make another goal with starting stake. It's if you have no gold, you make a goal. Yeah.
Oh, you might be right there.
So you can only make one goal with starting stake, but if you get an action point somehow, you can actually how does chain read?
You could do strike gold, which is on hit create a gold. You can wage gold, which
Yes.
is a wage or a gold.
There's performance bonus.
And wage gold is universal. It's still the only
Yeah.
universal card we've ever seen.
Is it the only universal?
Yeah.
All right, did we not? I guess we don't.
I want a universal.
We should get some more of those. It's kind of a cool card.
That's so cool. Anyways, yeah, you could pummel wage gold and then create a gold and then cash in.
I'm still annoyed that I can't play Pile Driver Betsy in Silver Age. It would have been way too strong, but I want it. I want it so bad.
There's performance bonus.
Yep.
You could fool's gold and let someone pummel you.
Yeah. No, I think it's a cool card. I think that a lot of the decks that will run it the best did need the help. And I don't think it's going to be too strong. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think it's going to be too strong. And Kasai just wasn't even a deck. And now Kasai can be a deck. So that's cool.
And I mean, even old Kasai just generates copper on hit. Like,
yeah, you can use it in all the Kasai. And, well, I say all of them. It's just 2, right?
Yeah, it's like, okay, I'm going to generate 4 copper throughout this game. I'm going to hit you at least 4 times.
Right. I'm mostly concerned if there is like a Decimator Olympia deck that can take advantage of it, which would be kind of funky because you would be drawing defensive cards pretty often.
They have to ban this before, like, Master Pack Warrior comes back out. Like, once that comes out, like,
it's leaving again. It's gotta.
It has to. Unless they really do want Olympia to be the best hero for a moment.
Golden Grail might be Majestic, right? You know.
Which one's Golden Grail?
The new Olympia weapon.
No, I'm pretty sure it's a rare.
It's a rare. Oh, yeah, they got a ban. Olympia Silver Age is gonna be busted. What? That's disgusting. I did not realize that was a rare weapon. That's cool. All right.
Cool.
Yeah, cool card. I think it's definitely a good opportunity to unban it, at least for now. I don't think it'll be too strong.
Yeah, again, the ceiling is already so high.
I think it's also cool that since it's generic, that there are decks that can basically use it as a tool to beat fatigue, like you mentioned. You can run starting stake or some of these other cards that make gold on hit, try to get a gold in some way, or maybe some copper or silver in some way to then have this extra offensive pressure into fatigue. I think that's pretty cool. So I'm curious.
Can we just downshift Payday to rare?
That'd be kind of cool too. Yeah, I'd like that. They have done that before too. I do think that strategic downshifts are really interesting when it comes to Silver Age. Yeah. There are a lot of Majestics that I think could use a downshift and make some interesting options in Silver Age. And that's actually really cool that they can basically reprint some of these Majestics as rares in terms to not only be like in future sets to not only be Silver Age options, but to be interesting limited options in that set for draft. And I'm curious to see if they take advantage of that.
We'll see. I mean, they've already done it a couple times.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So it's not like it's out of this world for it to happen. Anything else on these Silver Age BnRs before we move on?
They said nothing about them.
Yeah, they did not give any description. I mean, there was a lot of text on the CC BnR reasoning.
Yeah. Well, it's like I don't like. It feels like I don't know why, but whenever they do like anything for Silver Age, just don't say anything. They just do it and like walk away. They're like, "Hey, like sit everyone down at this circular table. Let's tell you about the CC bans.
Yep.
This is what we think. This is our conclusion. This is our process on what we think Living Legending's gonna attain and what it's gonna look like. Da 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 da. Here's the bands. Digest it. Think about it. Let's talk about this. Okay, okay, okay. Here's the Silver Age bands. Bye. It's like,
Drop mic.
I'm like, boom. We don't need to talk about shit with these. I'm out of here. I just
You know
think
what's
it's
fun though?
interesting.
Like, it's kind of fun just to not even have reasoning. It's like you just get to speculate. Like,
Yeah,
it's
but
actually not the worst.
it's
Honestly,
not.
I think these often do themselves a disservice by doing too much explaining
That's fair.
on the CC ones because
I
like
think that was the
I'm not
last
reading
banned and
this.
restricted announcement.
These
Was
things
like
will all text.
too
I'm not
much.
reading this.
What is that meme? Oh, it's like funny words, man.
Yeah, next BnR, September 17th. So just over a month. Curious to see if that is.
Wait, my months are all mixed up. July.
Oh no, sorry, 2 months. I am also mixed up with
Yeah.
months. Sorry, 2 months from
Uh,
now. Is there anything that happens? Any major things that happen between now and September 17th?
the Pro Tour.
Well, sorry, I mean like after the Pro Tour is what I'm
Oh,
what I
I don't
meant.
think so. Like, I
Because
think
like
it's just callings.
if they wanted to do like updates because of the Pro Tour results, then it would be much sooner. But I guess I mean
That's
more
true.
closer to that BNR. Um, because Worlds is usually November, right? And then the new set comes out.
September.
So it is in September, isn't it? So I guess it could be some preemptive bans and unbans for the new set, maybe.
We're gonna ban C Zagny again for when Chain comes out, and then
That might be smart. Assuming he doesn't get benched again, which actually he can't get benched again.
no. I'm talking CC.
I guess it is a legal card in CC, isn't it?
I
Interesting.
mean, Vincent can run it.
Yeah, it is an option for Vincent.
It
Doesn't
is an
want to,
option for Vincent.
but you could.
Yeah, no. It is bad in Vincent.
All right, before we end this episode, what are your thoughts on your Pro Tour pick with
What about the
this new
usurp
BNR?
the fat Shadow Throne? We didn't even
Oh,
talk
okay.
about
Sorry,
that.
sorry. We
Ugh.
had it, but I didn't see it in the notes because it was actually technically before the BNR in the notes. All right, usurp the Shadow Throne.
Sorry. Just a small thing. I think it's so cool, and this is where I'm like, Chain's coming back because I don't know if you saw it. I love these teaser trailers. I think they're so cool. I
Uh-huh.
think they're so exciting. I'm so glad we're getting them. This is so sick. It's getting me so hyped for the set. Every week on Tuesday, I'm tuning in. I'm like sitting down, and I'm like, I'm gonna watch this. And I've seen the video probably like 10 times myself. It's so cool. But I don't know. It's cool because I don't. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay.
I'm not getting too much out of it personally. It is cool, but I just don't really know what I'm looking at. Is the main
I'm a
thing.
fiend for the lore. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I need more lore, and it looks like they're finally giving it to us. I'm hungry, and I need some more lore. But anyways, so it's cool because it looks like Chain's coming. This makes it feel like Chain's coming back in this set, which is cool. Like
What
I
it's
think it's a
funny too
popular
though,
view.
because we got an image of Viserai, a different version of Viserai. We don't know if that means that he's
Well,
going to
we've
be in the
been
set.
wondering where Viscerai's been,
Really
and then like I've heard some theories that Viscerai is like his name changed to Malice.
interesting. Oh, actually, I do want to bring up. We did get a comment on Spotify. That from I'm going to butcher the name. I don't know if it's Yao or Jiao. It's Joao. It said, I'm going to leave you guys with a theory regarding Malice and why there are several Sage decks for the same hero. Malice is a common name in RPGs for a dark bow. So how cool would it be for Malice to not be a hero, but a weapon that would corrupt different heroes? So basically, the weapon would equip heroes instead of it being the other way around. It'd also be the weapon to win all points. It's never going to happen, and it's going to be a Necro, but it's a cool idea.
That's so cool.
It's
That's
such a
so
cool
cool.
concept. I would never even think about that. So that's a really cool idea.
Oh, no, I wish it's that. Like that sounds insanely cool.
But that is actually a fun concept in general as like a side theory for the multiple Silver Age decks is that maybe they could have two different weapons. That it does affect how the hero plays in a drastic way, right?
That
Um
does.
it it, it could even be that it is a necromancer, and then you can either run it with a weapon that's meant to more synergize with the allies, or you can run it with a more generic runeblade weapon. So there's also that.
That's cool. Or
Um,
shadow weapon, whatever it is.
yeah, shadow runeblade, whatever.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I like that idea. I think this is a cool idea. But
But
anyway, sorry, go ahead.
like the small lore implication. No, I'm glad you brought that up. That's so cool. But the lore implications is like Chain is going into Arethiel where all the old ones are, at least they says they're dreaming, but I think it's just like where all the ACR, sorry, not old ones, ACR are. And he's going to try and take that power for himself, which sounds sick. That sounds like he is going to cause a world altering event in this abyss. And I am so ready for it.
Yeah,
He's going to accidentally open up a hole between Irathiel and Wraith, and everything's gonna break loose. It's gonna be sick, and he's gonna be the leader of all of it.
I'm so excited. I can't wait for the keynote to see more about this
Lore Book
set.
2. Lore Book 2, please.
Yeah.
Lore Book 2. And Lore Book 1 reprints.
Please.
Who cares about Fabled reprints? Lore Book reprints.
Who wants fables? They should ban them anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
They can't ban a lore book.
They can't.
But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for Shadow. I might just preemptively pre-order some cases of this set. We'll see. I'm really excited. I think no matter what, I'm gonna play a new one of the heroes from it.
Mm-hmm. I'm really excited. And like these, I don't know. I think these teaser trailers are actually just so insanely cool because that's something they don't have to do. Like, there's no cards in them, but it's literally just like, hey, here's a small snippet of lore. Anyways, come back next week. We're gonna drop another one for you. It's like, you got me hooked.
That's a good point. Like, I've heard some kind of criticisms of it, but like they could just not give us anything. Like this is just for fun, right? We don't need it to do any. It's not filling any role. It's
like
just,
we know that the next spoiler is gonna be at the Pro Tour. We all know the keynote's gonna have all the stuff, and it's just like them going like, "Hey, before that happens, here's a little snippet of lore."
yeah.
And like, I have a feeling that like watching all this up to the Pro Tour, it's the Pro Tour keynote is gonna be insane. They're gonna drop something that builds off all of what we've seen. It's gonna be like, "Hey, here's this thing about Chain going to the Abyss. Hey, here's Chain talking about how he's gonna take the power of the Abyss. Oh, here's Chain doing this," or like da 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 da. And then they're like, "Oh, here's the spoiler keynote," and then it's like, boom, Chain like controller of the Abyss, and it's like that art, and then it's like Ursa like shackled because, and then like he summons Ursa shackled for him, and it's like Chain controls him now. Like,
Yeah.
wouldn't that like it wouldn't make any sense if we didn't see all these spoilers up till then? But now we're seeing all these spoilers. So it's like it'd be crazy. It'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. That's my little my little. I can't talk
Spiel.
anymore. I'm just my little spiel. Thank you. On usurp the shadow throne, greed video, and the upcoming videos because they have to do more. And lore, I'm excited.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited for this set. I'm so excited for the keynote. I can't wait to get into spoiler season. Yeah, excited. Speaking of Pro Tour, how are you feeling on Valda with this BnR with the Victor LL?
Victor is bad. Victor Elling is bad for Valda, mainly because it was a good matchup.
Also, Prism LL happened since last week,
Which is also bad for Valda. Those are two of her best matchups. But I don't know. Like, looking at the meta, like, I don't feel bad in Syndra. Acilio, I think I can make the Acilio matchup favored for Valda. Pretty, like, if I invest the time into it.
Okay.
Reinar, like, I'm just looking at the Germany one right now. Reinar, easy dub. Dio scares me a little bit, but I think it's something I can work around.
I'm not there, so you don't have to worry.
Yeah, okay, then we're good. Kasai, I need some practice into, but it's definitely something winnable. I want like Jarl, I think it's very similar. I think I need practice into, but it's definitely winnable. Like actually looking at the top of the meta, like I'm like, oh, I could beat every single one of these heroes. Some of them I need more tech into, or I need like more practice into, but like I could beat every single one of these heroes, which feels good.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not like sitting down and going like, well, I just lose into this hero. It's a 0% matchup. It's like, okay, like like I think the toughest one is Tough Nut. Like I look at Tough Nut and that's good. But Tough Nut's not going to the Pro Tour.
I wouldn't worry about
So
Tough Nut.
we good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be a lot of bad matchups for the Tuffy boy.
Yeah, especially if Syndra is at the top.
Yeah, I
And
think
then Vi is on the down low, which like also is well I wouldn't say one of the worst matchups, but it's like the worst ninja matchup for Valda.
how
I
do you feel
think
about
for
Katsu?
so
Really?
good.
Okay.
I don't know, like I might not play against good Katsus, but like I don't think I haven't played a lot of Katsu matchups.
It's also a
Granted,
very
take
different
this with
deck than
a
it has been.
that's fair. Take this with a grain of salt. But I've never lost to Katsu on Valda. Like so I'll need practice into it. I do think that. But
Yeah.
I think the scariest one is actually Fang. Like that actually just terrifies me.
It felt like a 0%er when I was playing Bessie into it.
It's I think it's a 0%er for Valda. Well, I think it's a 10%er for Valda. And
Yeah.
it's I draw put them in their place, pummel. And to put them in their place, pummel.
Yep. Yep.
And to put them in their place, pummel.
Yeah, just do that. Easy.
Yeah. Easy peasy. Like I can do it. Well, then like I just have to have dominate every single turn that's relevant. That's pretty
Easy.
much it. If I have a
Yeah.
turn off, then they have 3 fealties because it's turn 2, and Fang always has 3 fealties at least in turn 2, 3. Like anyway, but and like Ziggy as a Guardian player, I actually think I'm favored into Ziggy. If not, I can make it like an almost auto win matchup for Valda. Like it feels crazy how
Yeah.
good Valda is in the Ziggy. So it's like I think I just need to get the right deck construction. But I don't know. This might
Free
also
talk a big
be
game. That's all you need.
talk to the big. So I did play talk to the big game into a Ziggy, and I was able to get like 4 into 5 into 4 off of it.
Really? Wow. That's impressive into Ziggy too.
Well, the thing about Ziggy is there's a lot of like no blocks. I mean, there's instants to play around, but it's actually and their armor doesn't block, so it's actually really easy to calculate. But it's
Yeah.
interesting, like, but yeah, we can get into it. But I actually feel pretty okay on Valda. I just think my list and my practice needs a lot of work. But
We'll
like
work on
looking
that.
at this, I'm like, Valda looks fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't hate Volda in this upcoming meta, which we'll get into a tier list next week. Um and I do think that I am concerned that you'll need some to play really cleanly into Syndra, into Mario, into Katsu, um, into Dio, and yeah, you'll just have to make sure you have the right game plan to the other heroes. But I don't hate Volda as a pick.
Yeah, I think like Mario, I have to play super clean into. And the problem is, I think I want to take out all the tech cards I have for Mario, and that's where it's like I'm really scared about that. It's like I have an anxiety about my sideboard because like half of it's Mario sideboard, and that's what allows me to have an okay matchup in the Mario.
Yeah,
But I'm like just to widen my sideboard and all that.
yeah. Well, we'll see how the practice goes. We'll talk about it again next week after you have some more games under your belt. But anything else you want to cover before we finish off this episode?
I think I'm ready to go.
All right. Well, we'll leave the audience with a question, which is, what do you think of the BnR? Let us know in the comments below, whether on YouTube or on Spotify. Give us a like and subscribe if you can. Helps us out a ton. And with that, I'm Cody.
And I'm Jacob.
Thanks for watching and listening.